Hello everybody, I want to say welcome to this video. I've got some great guests I want to introduce you to. You may have already seen them on a prior video, but we wanted to get together and talk about something that's really serious in Southwest Florida right now, and that's the amount of fatal motorcycle accidents that have occurred in like the last 7 weeks. It seems like once a week we're hearing about a fatal motorcycle accident, and it's really scary from the attorney's point of view, but I've also got here Sonny and Angie, also known as Mama Badger, from the Badgers, and they are going to provide a little perspective on what it's like to be a biker on the roads in Southwest Florida. So thank you both for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Oh no, it's good seeing you.
Yes, yes.
Good seeing you always. So if you don't mind, let's start out with, as a biker, I mean, how long have you guys been riding bikes?
Me since I was 6.
6. Okay, so that makes 10 years?
Yeah,
Okay.
somewhere along those
I'm not
lines.
going for age with you. I'm not going to do it.
I was 6 weeks old
Okay.
when my parents had me on the back of a motorcycle.
And there you have it, folks. Okay. So for the last 10 years, when you're driving your motorcycle, what's going through your mind? Are you thinking about, this could be my last day riding a motorcycle if somebody does something stupid, or are you just enjoying yourself?
It's usually AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, you know.
It's
Poison.
built into your helmet?
Right, it is.
Okay.
It's Bluetooth in.
It might be country one day.
Right,
You
just
know?
never know.
It's like, so, like, every biker I know, they just want to ride. They want to get out there, and they want to get on the bike, and they just want to be free.
We do, but there's things we learn. So I'm going to use my daughter as an example. She's 16. She really wants to ride a motorcycle, and I'm like, you can't ride till you're 18. So the reason is not so much I'm scared of her riding, I'm scared of her not being able to tell what the guy next to her or pulling out is going to do. So there's things we look for, right? When I'm beside you, I'm in a position where I can see your face in your rearview mirror. So I know what you're looking at. Because, right, if you go to move over and I don't see your eyes hit mine, I know, right? So I speed up or I slow down. When a car's at a stop, I'm looking at the front wheel. The front wheel is the indicator of whether that wheel's moving forward and you're moving into my lane, right? So there's little bits and pieces you pick up riding that you look at on a bike that you don't look at in a car.
Interestingly, though, but she's been on the back of your motorcycle hundreds of times as a passenger.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
But there's a difference between a 16-year-old, and when my 16-year-old daughter started driving a car, I wouldn't let her have anybody in the car with her for 2 years.
Yeah.
So she had to be alone. Now,
Right.
she might have had AC/DC blasting or
Right,
some kind of
absolutely.
music, but at least she had that opportunity to learn how to focus.
Right.
And I think that 2-year window, I think it's a great idea, because that's 2 years where you can educate her at an age where she might not have been listening when she was 12 or 14, but you're telling her now, here's what we got to watch out for.
And she's been in situations that she's had to react to.
Right.
So I'd
Which is
rather her
good.
be reacting in a car
Right, which is good.
than on a motorcycle.
Margin of error, right?
Exactly.
You know, if you get in a car accident, you can get hurt and get killed.
No doubt.
But the chances of really getting messed up or dying on a motorcycle are much greater, right?
Yes.
Even at 30 or 40 miles an hour in a car, you're like, oh, that's not
Yeah.
a big deal. But for a motorcycle,
It's a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
It's a huge deal.
So yeah, and that's that piece to riding motorcycles. We have loud pipes.
Right.
There's a reason we have
There's a
loud pipes.
reason.
They're not just to annoy you. They are literally there for you to hear us,
Yeah.
right?
Hear.
Because you can't
Yeah.
always see us.
Right.
And you know what? You could always see us, but a lot of times we're in our own world, right? We've got our music on, we're watching a video, we're texting. There's 1,000 things I see a day. Reading a book. I
Yep.
see people driving down the road
Makeup.
reading a book. Eating, right? And we've
Eating.
all done it. I'm
Right.
not saying we
All
haven't
done it,
all done
right.
it, but the fact of the matter is for me, that's hugely dangerous.
Yes.
Right? Because that margin of error, mistake kills me. So it's you look for those little things.
Yeah.
When you're riding behind somebody and you notice that they're to the left and then they're to the right and to the left, you know they're probably texting or
Slow
something,
down,
right?
or maybe been
So-
drinking a little too much.
So it's I need to immediately get past this person or I need to back
Back
way
off.
way
Yeah.
off.
So a lot of people think, oh, we're speeding and we're going fast. You know, we're going above the speed limit. It's for us to literally get away from everybody else, to be in our own little bubble. And I think a lot of, oh, they're going fast, they're going to get in an accident. No, I just want away from you.
Right, exactly. And
I
again,
want-
I couldn't agree with you more. So I guess what I'm saying is age and experience definitely helps you become a better biker.
You know, it absolutely does, but just, you know, not twisting the throttle with your ego, just smart things make us better riders, right? Paying attention, you know, like I said, all of those pieces make us a better rider. It's not any one thing, because even the old guys can get in accidents.
Yes.
We just get careless, right? We get used to it, we get comfortable, we're not alert, aware. We're riding at night, we're riding in the rain. There's so many aspects to that, right? And one little thing
Can take
can take us out,
Can
right?
take out. Yeah, and the funny part is, over 20 years, 20 plus years I've been practicing law, every motorcycle injury case I've ever had, my client was not at fault. And the injuries that are sustained, I always say, is it worth the risk when you're riding? And to me, every one of them, I asked, are you ever going to get back on a bike again? The answer is always absolutely.
The majority
Absolutely.
of the time, it really is. And I'm sad if somebody comes to me and says, no, I'm not doing it, you know.
Yeah.
But the majority of them will get
Let's really, and thank you for that, but let's focus on those accidents that happened.
Yes.
You know, you look at those accidents, especially just in our little bubble of the world, and it makes you think, you know, what's going on out there? Is it more people on the road, and that makes motorcycles more susceptible, or is it just less people paying attention when they drive? What do you think?
I think it's a combination. So I think there is a lot of traffic here. We have a lot of older people, and you know, the older you get, unfortunately, so do all your reaction times. Just everything changes, right?
Yep.
So we're not hypersensitive. Nobody down here uses their blinkers. I mean,
You're
all
right.
those things though, they add to, if I don't know you're going left, right? And what if your brake lights don't work, right? And you go to turn left?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many of those aspects. So I think the ton of traffic, I mean, 41 is outrageous, 75 is a racetrack.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, you throw all of that in, we have lots of big truck commerce that runs 75, you know, anything around a big truck. Pushes cars, pushes bikes, stuff flying up. So I mean, I think there's just any number of it, but paying attention's probably the biggest. It's also rainy season,
Good point. Good point.
so
Yeah, right
anything
now.
wet roads, no matter how great a motorcycle rider you are, they play a factor in how your bike controls. And
Sure,
then you throw cars around it, you know, things happen.
Yeah. And again, well, I don't think what a lot of people realize is that in Florida, in order to become a biker, you have to take a biker safety course, right?
Yes, she took it like 3 years ago,
Oh, beautiful.
4 years ago.
Is that something that, you know, other bikers should renew every couple of years, or is that just something that's a one-shot deal? Florida law says one time you have to take it, but is that something that you would suggest bikers do if they're having trouble managing their bikes?
They have advanced courses.
They have advanced courses
So
as
they
well?
have other courses. I don't know that the basic course would do you much good, but the advanced course would for sure.
Would for sure, and that would be for, you would suggest, like for your 16-year-old daughter you were talking about, obviously she's going to have to take the basic course. Before you ever let her on the roads, is she ever going to get out without taking the advanced course?
She is.
She's already done it?
No, she hasn't, but she will, because she's going to be riding with me.
Okay.
You know, it's just the
Because
way
she's
it
riding
is.
with him.
She's riding with me. So Angie did the same thing. After her course, we went on a 4,500-mile trip 2 weeks after she took her test.
Okay.
We went through the Tail of the Dragon, through the Smoky Mountains, all of that.
That was my riding course.
That was her riding course. But I was in the lead, and I could control our speed. So we weren't over speeding through the corners. We weren't. So having somebody to ride with you, I think, is a huge thing that
And
you
then-
can learn off of and follow, like lines
Right.
and stuff like that.
And that's when you normally on the highway you'll see the lines where the bikers are riding either together or kind of at a I don't wanna
Always,
say an
usually
angle,
always stay staggered.
staggered, so that when they're driving, it's kind of like one's watching out for the other.
We can
And-
tell you why. I mean, why
That would-
we
I would love to know
actually,
why.
yeah.
So one of the big reasons why we stagger is if I'm here and here and there's something in the road, where do I go?
Right. You got to hit somebody else.
So, the staggered gives me the ability to use the whole lane, gives them the ability to use the whole lane too. The other piece of that is if I lock up my brakes, you still have time before hitting me to stop. So that staggered just gives us room.
Good.
And that's happened.
It has, for sure.
I'm listening to that music, and then he decides to turn left in the gas station, and I'm just like, oh Lord.
Oh,
and
Lord.
thankful that I was in my lane and he was in his. And
So, I mean, for our purposes, another thing, I guess we don't have time today, but for our purposes, a thing I'd love to get into is safety. And really one of the big things for me is when I represent people is accident scene management.
Yes.
Because when a biker is hurt, it's not like when they're in a car and they might have a neck injury. We might be talking about serious injuries, and especially just even removing somebody's helmet.
Right.
That's something to that effect. So I really would love to have your perspective on that.
Well, the other thing is, and in a car, a bulk of the time, I would say you have the ability to make a phone call or something.
Right.
If my bike goes down, who knows if my phone's even still on? Because a lot of times it's strapped to the bike. Who knows where the bike's at? I may not have a phone. So I mean, there are those aspects too. What can people do to help when somebody has crashed a motorcycle? So yes, illegally, what can they do?
Well, I think for today's purposes, we did a great job. I want to thank you guys for being here. All your insight and everything you've given, I think will be a great, just a great video for me to share with my listeners, and hopefully you'll get something out of it for your listeners as well. But
Absolutely.
I really appreciate everything you taught me here today. I really do. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having us.